So the purpose of this stand-up is just to confirm that I will not be taking a proposal to repeal the three strikes law to Cabinet today. And in fact, the set of proposals around some reasonably minor changes, I've withdrawn that paper. And the discussions with New Zealand First is pretty clear. This is a government that is totally committed to criminal justice reform, but I think everybody would rather see a full, well-rounded, balanced package of changes that means that we can reduce offending, therefore reduce the number of victims of crime and make our communities safer. So we are committed to that. We will be announcing our independent advisory panel in a matter of a few weeks. Shorter than that, hopefully. We have a number of appointments to be confirmed by Cabinet very shortly. And we have our Criminal Justice Summit starting on the 21st of August. That will also be an opportunity to get some good information and some good debate going. So we will continue putting together that package. The real package of reform won't happen until next year. And rather than do things in a piecemeal way, it's better to have the whole thing go at once. So that's what.
Didn't you talk to them first?
Your reforms have failed, haven't they?
No, we have a package of criminal justice reforms that is being put together, and it was always my intention to make sure there was a good, robust public debate. The Criminal Justice Summit at the end of August is a very important part of that, and that is proceeding all guns blazing.
Have you been completely screwed over by New Zealand First?
New Zealand First have said they are not prepared to support the repeal of three strikes at this point. They didn't want that to be seen as separate from a broader program of criminal justice reform, but they are very clear with me. They are totally committed to criminal justice reform. It is not, we cannot claim success in our criminal justice system when we've seen a 30% increase in our prison inmate numbers in the last few years, where our reoffending rate, even after 30 odd years of longer sentences, more people serving their sentences, is still at the same rate as it was 10, 15 years ago. So there is failure in the system that we have to address. And if we don't address it, then we are just allowing more victims of crime to happen, and that is not acceptable.
What consultation did you do with New Zealand First before you embarked on this?
Well, nothing gets before Cabinet without having gone through a variety of hoops beforehand. But the reason why you have a variety of hoops is that people take time to pause and reflect, and that happens. We've got to the point now where they would prefer, rather than piecemeal proposals going to Cabinet, they want to see a full, well-rounded, balanced package, and that's what we're doing.
But had you asked New Zealand First? Had you asked the New Zealand First whether they'd support this earlier than this morning?
As I said, you don't get a paper before Cabinet that hasn't already gone through a variety of hoops. And we had done that, but people reflect, and we got to the point now where we have not, I'm not putting the paper up.
So doesn't this point to a hugely dysfunctional government? You cannot get some of your flagship reforms across the line.
No, you're wrong in two respects. First of all, the flagship reforms are happening in a lot of areas, and criminal justice reform.
You don't know that yet. They might cut them.
I'll go back to what I said at the beginning. Criminal justice reform is happening. There will be a package of criminal justice reform coming out of this government. Secondly, this is coalition government. This is when you have a genuine coalition government of a variety of parties with a span of views, you take on board all those views, and that's what we're doing. But the government is very clear, all parties in government, is we have to reform our criminal justice system if we want safer communities and fewer victims of crime.
That's what we're trying to do. They're beginning to fall over straight out of the blocks.
I disagree with you.
Have they changed their minds?
Well, that's a matter you're going to have to talk to New Zealand First about, but I am very clear in my discussions with New Zealand First is that they are totally committed to criminal justice reform. They are not prepared to accept the burgeoning prison population and the reoffending rate that we have, 60% within 2 years of release of prison, higher for younger offenders. That means more victims of crime. Unless we're prepared to do something about that, then we're failing all citizens of New Zealand who are potential victims of crime, and we're failing our criminal justice.
You're failing with your reforms, though. You're failing with your reforms straight out of the box.
Let me go right back to the beginning. We have a criminal justice reform program. We are doing criminal justice reform. This government is totally committed to reforming our criminal justice system.
You can't get it across the line within your government.
So this government is totally committed to criminal justice reform. That's what we're doing. That's why we have a criminal justice summit. That's why we're having an advisory group that will assist in putting a package together. And as it was always intended, the meat of the reform will happen next year when we look at a whole variety of...
Did New Zealand First change its mind, or did you wrongly assume that it had its support?
Or did they renege?
No, I stand by all the judgments that I've made, but in the discussions, certainly last week, I got to the point on Friday where I discussed with the Prime Minister, look, we're better just to take this off the table now, rather than have a piecemeal approach to this reform. Let's have the full package of all elements of it that we know are about doing better for those in prison, reducing our reoffending rate, therefore reducing our offending rate, therefore having fewer victims of crime.
So did you forge ahead without checking whether you had this support? Did you just assume what happened?
As I said, you don't get to the point of having a paper before Cabinet without having gone through a variety of hoops before then.
So when you
and we got to the point where we got the paper before Cabinet, and it was clear that it wasn't going to have sufficient support, so I've pulled that paper.
Have they
we have a total package of criminal justice reform that we're in the process
have
of.
they reneged on some undertaking they've given?
What I said is that we got to a point by the end of last week where it was clear that we weren't going to get the support. There wasn't any point in going ahead with that. There are way more important things in terms of our criminal justice reform program than just this. We are on track for comprehensive reform of our criminal justice system, because that's what we have to do to reduce offending and keep communities safe.
But before the end of last week, you had very clearly indicated that you were going to go ahead with this repeal, so shouldn't you have figured out beforehand whether you could do that or not?
No, what I said was there was a proposal going before Cabinet, there was a proposal ready to go before Cabinet, but by the end of last week it was clear that that was not going to get the support.
Was this a trial balloon?
Should you not have announced 10 days ago, should you not have announced 10 days ago these few portions of your justice reforms, because you talked to us about it? Should you not have done that? Is that what's gone wrong?
So as I said, there was a proposal to go before Cabinet. You don't get a proposal before Cabinet without going through a variety of hoops that the proposal had gone through, but by the time it got to Cabinet it was clear that it wasn't going to get the support.
So you should have announced that publicly before taking it to Cabinet? I
stand by my judgments at every step of the way.
Are there any other parts of this reform program that you're going to struggle to get through because the Greens don't support?
I don't anticipate that at all, because what I have is a very clear commitment from all parties that make up this government is that they want to see reform.
But you don't know that.
Because we have a failing criminal justice system. It is not right that 60% of those who get released from our prison system reoffend within 2 years of being released. That is a failing criminal justice system, and that means more victims of crime. We have to do something about that. That reoffending rate is pretty much the same as it was about 10 years ago, even after decades of longer sentences, people serving more time in prison, and things like 3 strikes. So we have to look at it again and say, what is it that's going to keep our community safe, and what is it that's going to reduce offending?
But you don't know that these guys could undercut you every step of the way. That's what this suggests. They could undercut you every step of the way.
No, I don't accept that. I think it's pretty clear this government is totally committed to criminal justice reform. It is going to happen.
Was this a trial balloon? Were you trying out one small part of your rider reform to see how much support you could get from New Zealand First? And
I'm not quite sure what the question is that you're asking, except that we are a government that is committed to criminal justice reform. We are going to do criminal justice reform. We're not going to do it in a piecemeal fashion, and we're going to take the opportunity through the likes of our Criminal Justice Summit at the end of August and through our independent advisory panel to get a good public debate going, to get good information in front of the public about what's wrong with our system, about what we need to do to change it, about what we need to do to reduce offending and to have fewer victims of crime.
But what does it say about that wider package if you can't even get a relatively, compared to some of the other changes maybe necessary, a relatively uncontroversial part of it past your own government? I mean, does it mean that you're going to have to scale back your ambition?
No, not at all. I think what people have said quite justifiably is that we wanted to see the total package and a well-balanced package that achieves reform.
So to avoid being piecemeal and to have that total package, why not include 3 strikes and those other things that you announced last week or last? Why not include them in your reforms post-summit? Why did you go ahead with announcing those few little things if you wanted to avoid a piecemeal approach?
There was, I think, a desire to get some of the work underway, so that by the time we get to the Criminal Justice Summit and the aftermath of that and the ideas that come out of that, is that we can kind of roll the whole thing out. That's fine. This is coalition government. It is about for the government, but everybody holding together on the overarching objective, which is that we know we have to do better in this country in our criminal justice system. It is not right that we have victims of crime from people who are released from prison, who are meant to have been fixed up, but 60% of whom are reoffending within 2 years of having left jail. That is wrong. So we've got to change that.
Do you need to now, though, go away and have a look at some of those proposals and adjust your expectations about what you're going to get support for? And what might those proposals be? Do you think you've gone too far?
No, because we have a lot of work to do, principally around the Criminal Justice Summit and the engagement that we will have with the public and, of course, with all political parties to put that package together. But there is no question this is a government, all parties within it are committed to reforming our criminal justice system, because unless we do that, if we don't do that, we don't start reducing those prison numbers because of the amount of offending that's going on, we are just prepared to tolerate more victims of crime, and I'm not prepared to tolerate that.
To reword that differently then, do you think there's now some stuff that's off the table because New Zealand First won't support that? Doesn't it better to go to them now and say, okay, what do we agree on?
No, look, there's nothing off the table. If you're going to put a comprehensive package of reform together, everything has to be considered.
What about
No, they've said they don't want to consider isolated bits of policy in a piecemeal fashion. They want to look at a total, balanced, well-rounded package of reform.
Is there a problem with three strikes? Is there a problem with three strikes, or is there a problem with being blindsided by you announcing it before it went to cabinet?
Well, I don't accept the underlying proposition of your question. This is coalition government.
Were they blindsided?
You have the reason you have a deliberate or deliberative decision-making process is that people reflect at every step of the way, and we got to the point where New Zealand First said, look, they don't want to support it at this point because they want to see a well-rounded package of reform. The Criminal Justice Summit will be part of it, and we'll continue.
Is this a failure of process, though, from you? Do you accept some responsibility for this?
I accept that this is coalition government, and I accept that you're dealing with your partners, you maintain the confidence of the partners, and that's what I'm in the process of doing.
National are likely to paint this as backdown and say that you're buckling to Winston Peters. What would you make of that?
Yeah, well, the National are going to say a lot of things, and they say that actually trying to take measures to reduce the number of victims of crime and reducing offending is called soft on crime. The reality is that the role of Minister of Justice, when you're trying to do criminal justice reform, the easiest thing to do is to characterise that minister as soft on crime and a friend of the prisoners and all that sort of stuff. We know that the public debate on criminal justice reform is going to be tainted by that, coloured by that. That cannot stop me and this government being committed to criminal justice reform that reduces reoffending, reduces offending, and keeps citizens safe. That's what we are about.
How can voters have confidence? How can voters have...
Here from TVNZ, because we've only had...
In hindsight, if you could rewind, you wouldn't have done that until you talked about it, would you?
No, as I said before, I stand by my judgments, and as I say, before you get a paper to cabinet, you go through a variety of hoops, and we had gone through all those hoops.
But surely this isn't ideal, right?
But how can voters have confidence in this government when you cannot get things done?
Well, you're wrong to say that they can have absolute confidence that this is a government totally committed to criminal justice reform.
The Justice Minister set out to reform aspects of the justice system. You couldn't get it across the line.
No, you're wrong about that. This is a government and this is a minister totally committed to criminal justice reform, and we're on track to continue to do that. And there is a package of reform, as you know, that will be ready to go for next year, and we are still going to do that.
Has New Zealand First reneged on any undertakings it's given you?
Look, this is coalition government, and the parties have their ways of operating. In the end, what's important is that you maintain the confidence of the parties, but the New Zealand First is very clear to me. They are totally committed to criminal justice reform. They do not accept the massive growth in prison numbers. They do not accept the 60% reoffending rate of those who are released from prison. We have to change what we're doing if we want to reduce offending and have safer communities.
So does this mean there'll be no justice reforms until at least next year? None of this will go on the way to reducing the prison population, making communities safer, as you say, until at least next year?
Look, work will continue, obviously it does, always at the officials level. We'll have a good public debate about it. That's what the Criminal Justice Summit is about. That's what the advisory group is about. And as you know, we'll deal with a variety of proposals as we put together a comprehensive reform package for criminal justice. That's what we are focused on doing, and we're on target to do that for next year as we had intended.
Will 3 strikes be repealed at any point in this government?
Well, the purpose of saying that we are not going to do things in a piecemeal fashion, but we're going to put together a total package, is exactly so that everything is on the table. Everything is on the table.
Are you embarrassed to come up here today and stand back down like this?
No, I've backed down from things before.
Have you offered any apology to the Prime Minister?
No, I've had very good discussions with the Prime Minister and indeed with Winston Peters and his staff and a variety of other personnel. They've been very good discussions.
The fact that this has to go to the Justice Summit, everything has to go to the Justice Summit, is that just another example that this government can't get anything done without putting it to a working group first?
I think that's an absurd proposition. This government is doing a lot, has done a lot, but this is a government that also wants to engage constructively with a whole variety of people and stakeholders and people with expertise. This is about making good decisions, not fast decisions.
Is it concerning to you that Winston Peters trusts a working group more than he trusts the Justice Minister?
Well, I don't think that is Winston Peters' position, but no doubt you can put that to him. Winston and I have a very good working relationship.
How did that conversation go with Winston Peters? Was it fairly robust?
It was a very good conversation, thank you.